This year has been stacked with games. There's no question about it. No doubt in anyone's mind, 2023 has been a huge year for gaming. There have been big new releases, new IPs, revamps of old ones, sequels coming out, and in the indie scene, we have had great game after great game come out. It's been so much. It's been really hard to get reviews on everything out. And so, picking and choosing and trying to get through games here and there while also keeping my normal real life schedule, I've found it hard to play everything. Let alone have the time to write a review, record it, and then go and edit everything throughout the entire process as things go along. So, with that all said, there are a ton of games on my plate, and I'm looking to review a whole bunch. October itself is full of things. We've got Endless Dungeon, we've got Wizard with a Gun, we've got Long Gone Days finally being released after years that I've had that in my Steam library. But before all of those, Wargroove 2, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, it's here, it's exciting. Without further ado, it's time for the intro. Hey everybody, welcome back to Our Eyes on Indie. My name is Finn. I'm a little bit sick right now, but that's not gonna stop me from giving you our review of Wargroove 2. This is Robotality, the people that have brought us Halfway, which I haven't played, Pathway, which I have played and I have mixed feelings about, and of course, the original Wargroove, which is a game that I hold at a special place in my heart. See, strategy games for me are like the big course meal. Alright, I put foods and games in kind of the same category to help people understand, especially people that don't understand gaming in general. Like for me, roguelites are a snack. I'll eat them all the time, here and there, maybe a quick run this day, maybe not this time, but they're always there for me and I can always count on them. JRPGs are like a comfort food. I always go to them and I'm like, you know what, this is gonna taste good even if it's some of the same I've gotten before with a few mix-ins here and there. Strategy games are my full big thing. I'm always looking for some kind of grand strategy. XCOM 2 versus Phoenix Point. I love both of them. Midnight Suns, while it had problems, still one of my favorite tactical games to play with its systems. The Last Spell, a fantastic roguelite with tactical elements. All of these games have tactics, and I love them, and Wargroove was no exception. While Wargroove for me was a little on the simple side in terms of some tactics, it had enough depth to always keep me engaged, and the best part was being able to share that with friends who are not so much into that tactical side of gaming as I am. Now, Wargroove 2, the question is, have Robotality and Chucklefish come together and brought us a fantastic sequel, or is this groove a bit out of tune? Let's get into the review and find out. So, in Wargroove 2, we're picking up after the events of the original game. Some time has passed, and of course, evil was vanquished. All is right with the world. Not entirely, obviously, we wouldn't have a game without that, but our adventure starts out with Lytra and Pistol, and they're off on a research expedition to the islands of Heavensong. Now here they find an artifact, gets given to Lytra, and things of course kick off with, oh, this artifact is evil. We're just saying, you know what happens when these artifacts get dug up, and what happens to people that use them. And it's an interesting enough setup, especially if you played the original game, you understand these little things here and there, but you by no means need to play the original to understand what's going on in Wargroove 2. And there's actually one thing I really loved. When I was looking through the lore tabs of this game, you can find some of the characters that died in the previous game, and it will tell you a little bit about them, and that they died, and who killed them. Right? So it's kind of a fun little thing, so you can go through and be like, okay, this guy killed this guy, so if there's a bit of bad blood between these factions, it's probably because of this, or if that gets mentioned, I know exactly why. And I love that these characters that don't really have too much relevance in the overarching story are still here, and they're still great. And if you don't know anything about the characters in Wargroove, they're very eccentric, over the top, in a very fun and kind of cartoonish way. Wargroove is definitely a strategy game that, if you're a parent, or you have siblings, you can share it with them. It's also got fantastic split-screen co-op, or more importantly, PvP, just saying. You can play against your friends, your siblings, your kids, whatever it may be, and they're going to enjoy it, right? And the big thing with it, again, is these characters, they're larger than life characters that are a lot of fun. Pistol only cares about research. Lytra's super insecure and doesn't know what she's doing. You've got, oh man, there are more. I'm not gonna get into all of them here, obviously, to avoid spoilers if you don't know anything about it, but the characters are just fun, and while they're not super deep that you can sink your teeth into them, they're fun, their motivations are good, and they carry you through the story. And while the overarching plot isn't anything to sing super big praises about, it keeps you going through the campaign. It's a fun campaign. There's actually a few of them. You start off with 3 that you can pick from after you complete the little prologue, and then a 4th one that will unlock afterwards. Campaign, though, in Wargroove was never my favorite thing, which I know sounds a bit weird in a strategy game where it's like campaign's kind of the whole big shtick. Like for me, I play XCOM 2. I try to play XCOM 2, a new campaign every year, because I really love the campaign structure. But for me, my actual biggest thing in Wargroove 1 was the map creator / campaign creator. I like to create things. I like to write stories. I like to put them out there, and it's fun to do a fun little thing like that for people to play, whether they enjoy it or not. And so, Wargroove 2 continues the fantastic campaign / map creator that we had in Wargroove 1 with some more added effects, being able to have more animations in your cutscenes, being able to implement different things throughout a battle as it goes on. Of course, you have things like units can't move here, the AI won't move here, they'll pretend they can't see here. So you can do all these cool added things that give it a bit more cinematic flair as you go throughout the campaign, and of course being able to stick things on the map as you go along, both battle maps and the world map for when characters move around, making side battles, making it so that this needs to be completed to this. This will happen if this character is with you or if this character is not with you. So it adds a lot more player choice if you're creating these campaigns, because you can again go, oh, actually because of this, this guy's not with them, so because of that, this is actually going to happen. And that's really cool. I've still yet to complete my first custom campaign, but I am definitely going to continue to mess with it and can't wait to try out some of the custom campaigns that come out. Now, my favorite game thing that they've added in this, alright, let's just talk about this. The baseline systems, let's go back, let's backtrack for a second, talk about the baseline systems in Wargroove, for those that don't understand. It's not hard to learn. Alright, it's very simple to get into, but there is a bit of a skill ceiling should you wish to shoot for it. There's no crazy tactical percentages of this to hit or this or that. No, it's pretty simple. This game relies on positioning. Alright, so much of Wargroove is about how you position your units to do crits and to put them in the rock, paper, scissors against other units. See, different units are better at fighting other units than some are. So, for example, cavalry is really good at fighting swordsmen, but spears are really good at fighting cavalry. So, obviously, you get that back and forth of, oh, okay, I get some spearmen, they'll be great against this cavalry charge that's coming in. But here's the other important thing. Cavalry has a crit that activates if they move 6 spots and attack. So if they get their full range of movement and attack, they're dealing a crit. And of course, a crit is going to deal a lot more damage. And that's where the positioning comes in. Yeah, sure, I want a spearman so I can fight the cavalry, but if I move my spearman to a spot that is 6 spots away from where the cavalry currently is, they're gonna crit, which then also means they're gonna lose a lot of health, and your health also directly influences how much damage you deal, so suddenly my spearmen are actually not that useful. They're in fact doing nothing at all. So you have to play around the crit system in this game, and it's great. Everyone has a different kind of crit thing. Swordsmen get crits if they're next to their commander. Dogs get crits if other dogs are around the target. Bowmen, archers, whatever you want to call them, they crit if they don't move before they attack, and on and on and on. And so it's a simple system in that regard, as you're pretty much looking to position around your own units and your opponent's units to get crits and to avoid crits. The other big thing with positioning is terrain. Different terrains provide different defense bonuses or penalties. For example, water will give you a -1, whereas things like mountains will give you a +3 to your defense on that unit. And like I said before, your health is also directly related to how much damage you deal, so the less health that unit has, the less damage it deals. And this is visually shown through when your unit takes damage. Sometimes if it's a swordsman group and they have 4 little guys there. Suddenly you're down to one little guy because you've taken like 75% of your health. So you're down to one man standing all alone forever and always. Except you can heal. That's the other thing. There are buildings that you are able to capture on the field, from garrisons to towns. The towns, for example, you capture them, and when you capture them, they gain an amount of health equal to half, rounded down, the health of the unit that currently captured them. So if you're capturing them with a unit that's full, they're going to get 50% health. If it's, for example, 90%, they get 40%, and so on and so forth. You can then spend gold if a unit gets adjacent to that town to heal up. These towns also provide you gold every turn. Garrisons, I think you can tell what they do. They also provide the ability to reinforce units with gold, but of course allow you to hire units as well. So it's a fun and simple system that doesn't have too much of learning. But, and this is my one caveat, my one big caveat is when you want to look at how much damage does a unit generally deal and what all the stats mean on the inspect page, you actually have to go into the codex to be able to find all of that, all the stats for that, instead of being able to hover over those different stats and go, oh, so that's what that means, or this is what that means. And while you can find the damage of like, oh, okay, this unit does more damage to this kind of unit and takes more damage from this other kind of unit on that regular stat page that you can look at, the exact finer prints are in the codex, and that can be a bit annoying, especially for those stats. I would have really liked to be able to just mouse over real quick in case I forgot during a fight, which happened a few times, and then I'd be like, oh, I gotta go into here and find it on this page, which thankfully it takes you directly to that page of the codex for that unit. But still, it would have been nice to be able to just mouse over, figure that out. It's just a little thing. It's a minor thing. Back to what I was saying before I went into all the regular gameplay mechanics. So let's talk about Conquest. Conquest is something exciting. You remember how I said that roguelites are like the snack for me, and I can keep coming back to them at different times of the day and take a little nibble here and a little nibble there? Yeah, Conquest is basically a roguelite mode in Wargroove 2, and it is fantastic. You start a Conquest on the Conquest map. There are a few different ones. They all have a few different rules and modifiers here and there. You can up the difficulty on them, and you pick one, and you're off. You're going to pick a commander from one of three choices, for example, and then you're going to pick a starting formation, and that's going to decide how much gold you start with, as well as your commander deciding different buffs, like maybe your units can move more, your commander can move more, or, you know, you get some units to start with, and then you go onto a map, and it's very similar to Legends of Runeterra's PvE mode, if you've played that, where you move from node to node and you're going to be going along. But the big thing is, your strategy actually has to be very different. See, in a regular game of Wargroove, your units are pretty disposable like pawns. You're not really too concerned about losing them, except for the fact that, oh gosh, I really needed those swordsmen to be my line of defense, and now they're dead. No, instead, in this game mode, any damage that any unit, including your commander, takes is permanent until healed. It is not simply regenerated after each fight. So every point of damage, you're looking at it and going, geez, okay, I have to go into the next fight with this unit now at 20% HP, which means it's also dealing less damage, which means I basically either need to find something on a map that can heal, or hope I can get to some kind of place that lets me heal, or a random encounter, or what have you. And it's really intense, because when those units die, of course, they're dead, and you have to pay for new ones. And gold not only buys you new units in Conquest, but also items to upgrade your units, which is going to be vital to your survival, and you're balancing all of it, and you're just going, oh my gosh, what do I do? And it's fantastic. See, my thing with the Wargroove campaigns is there was never too many times where I went, you know, I actually really need to think about this. Levels in Wargroove's campaign are fairly easy, and again, this is a game that's more geared towards an audience for everybody, but is still with that higher skill ceiling should you want to push for it. Conquest feels more for me where I'm thinking consistently of, okay, if I go here, am I able to kill this unit? Or is it going to be too dangerous? Am I going to take too much damage? Am I able to survive the next fight without this unit? How far am I willing to risk things? Is my commander gonna take too much damage? Because if my commander dies, I'm out. And I cannot afford that. And it's great. I love it. Conquest mode is the thing I'm going to continue to come back to in Wargroove 2. It is a combination of what they learned from Pathway with their roguelike elements in that, with the gameplay of Wargroove. And it's fantastic. It's my favorite addition in Wargroove 2. Even over the new factions, okay? The pirates are cool and all, but the Florin will always be my favorite. Have you seen the dogs that Florin have? They are adorable. I love the Florin, okay? They're super cool, and you can't beat them. Sorry, pirates. And I'm sorry to the humans too, but the Florins are just cool, okay? Speaking of how cute the Florin dogs look, the art in Wargroove is just as fantastic as it was in the original. Wargroove 2 shows again that Chucklefish in the pixel art world. They just know how to do art right. It's fantastic. Everything looks great. Everything's fairly clean. I had some issues with the UI here and there. Like I said before, I would have liked the whole mousing over thing stuff. But Lytra's Groove in particular, the first time I used it, I was kind of confused as to how it worked exactly. That might have just been user error, but it was a little unclear for me right away how it worked of like, oh, I do this, and then what do I click? So it was a little weird on that front. But other than that, it's pretty clear and easy to tell what's going on, what's where. You can always check everything at once. Everything looks great. All the units are different, and it is important to note that the factions, while they look different, all the units function exactly the same. It's more of a coat of paint, and that coat of paint just looks incredibly nice. You always know what you're up against, whether it be that unit and what faction it's from, whether it's the rats that ride cats, or the Florin dogs that are flipping adorable, and I will never stop talking about. Sound design's also good in this game. There's not a whole lot to it, I will say. You're not, going off into this, and there's not guns ringing out every single time you take an attack on enemy. Instead, it's more, just here's a little walking sound. You've got the nice sounds of when units charge from one side of the screen onto the enemy side and then do their attack animation, and then there's the retaliation. It's nice. It's good. It's fun. And the voice work that is there is also great. I have to say, it's just little lines here and there from a commander doing an attack or a commander having a quick little line here and there as their dialogue goes along, whether it's typically boils down to just another character's name, but it's still something, and it's enjoyable when it is there. I wish there was a bit more here and there, to be honest, but it doesn't hurt the experience that there is just a slight bit of voice and nothing more. The music as well is a lot of fun. It has these fun moments of going through, and like I've stated many times before, this is very friendly for everybody kind of game. So you got a lot of the music being this uplifting, going on through, fun things are happening, and that carries into the battles, and that just aids to the atmosphere of this being a fun jaunt through strategy. Again, much like Advanced Wars, if you played that back in the day, it's a great entryway into the strategy game genre. So maybe you're someone that hasn't really tried strategy games before, or you are just that person that goes, hey, I really want my friends to play strategy games with me, or my younger sibling, or my kids, and so on and so forth. It's a great entry point. So Wargroove 2, overall, it's great. I love it. It is fantastic. It is well worth your time, well worth your money. Come on, look at it. It's just adorable. It's great. It's so much fun. It's $19.99. It's such a great entryway into a world of strategy games. It has the nice improvements here and there of new naval combat, new units to give it a little bit more depth and with things you can do on the battlefield, but still maintains that nice and simple shell of go here, attack units. If units die, it's okay. You still got more to do. And for people like me that like a bit more of a challenge, conquest mode is there. And you get that nice little meta progression as you go on with the shards, getting new commanders and new things. And it's just great. And plus all the custom maps and campaigns that are going to come out in the future. This game is going to have content for time to come. Years upon years, as long as the community keeps living and thriving. And I am so excited to see where it goes. Wargroove 2, 100% worth your time, 100% worth your money, especially if you love strategy, or you just want to play some strategy with friends, or you just want to see what all the fuss is about. It's great. It's nice and easy. It's great to get into. It's a fun time. But that's it for this review on Wargroove 2. Like I said at the start, there are a whole bunch of games coming out, and with living life, breaking my wrist, and now getting sick, it has been hard to get through and be able to play all of these games. Doing my absolute best here to bring you reviews as fast as possible, while also not trying to just blaze through a game with nothing left to lose. Again, we've got Endless Dungeon coming up, we got Wizard with a Gun, I'm working on Long Gone Days, I'm still working on Blasphemous 2, Iron Oath is getting its 1.0 release. I could go on and on. Inkbound's getting a huge update later this month. This month is crazy. It is ridiculous, and we will do our absolute best to keep you up to date with all of that indie goodness. So, until next time, my name is Finn. If you liked the video, please be sure to leave a like on it. Leave your thoughts about Wargroove 2 if you've played it in the comments down below, and what you're looking forward to most in the rest of the months come in this year, and going forward into 2024. We have a lot of things on the way with Steam Next Fest that just happened. Oh boy, my wallet's trembling and my Steam library is looking to get pretty full coming up. But have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll be here with our eyes on indie.